Okay. So if I just left it at that, I would literally leave you guys thinking that I am perfect and flawless and nailed my budget. But that wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me to lie to you guys, and it also wouldn't be me to not F up. So here's the real tea. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to April's monthly money update. This video may come as a surprise because last month I was like, that might be my last one, I don't know. But you guys sounded off in the comments and were actually so supportive, and it just made me want to keep doing these videos, and yeah, so thank you. So it's a really yucky, rainy day in Montreal, so there's no better day to sit inside and do your budgeting. I went over everything that I bought this month and also made some notes about what do I want to talk about in this monthly money update. So let's rewind back to last month where I was in a really anxious place. I was dealing with a lot of financial anxiety, a lot of guilt with my spending, and a lot of uncertainty with my income. And that was the main reason why I was like, I don't know if I can do these videos anymore, because it was getting really hard for me to come on here and tell you guys about what I earned and tell you guys about what I spent when everything was just all over the place, and I just didn't feel confident in my earning nor in my finances. And it's not like this month I'm in a wildly better place. Like, I'm not. I've just changed my mindset a little bit, and I am going to be changing this video. I'm not going to be doing like the same rattling off of purchases and talking about my income, just to help me feel more confident filming this video. And also what helped me feel more confident throughout the month was knowing that, one, I changed my budget. And in this video, I'm going to talk about that, and that's going to be the central kind of theme of this video, and then I also want to talk about goal setting. So that's kind of the lens that we're going to be taking now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think it's going to be a little bit more structured, and what I think moving forward is just every video is going to change depending on my feelings that month and my budget that month and like what I got up to. So that's going to be that. I hope that you like it. I hope that this kind of is exciting and means that the finance videos are coming back. And I do want to thank you all for your kindness and support. The kind of overwhelming consensus in the comments was like, no, we really like these videos, but like, we understand if you need to take your space. So thank you so much, because that really helped me with the anxiety that I was feeling about that video last month. So without further rambling, let's get into April's monthly money update. All right, as usual, I've got my notes in here. So I want to give you just a general feeling overview of how my finances felt this month and how I felt related to finances. And that was a lot less guilt, a lot less overthinking every purchase, which was honestly horrible. That's what I was doing in March, was like overthinking every single purchase. And that's why building up to that video was like, I was like building up to this like, oh, you know, like really scary thing. And I didn't have that. I think about money every day. You know, it's just kind of the way I am, and I'm getting better at it. But I didn't think of it in from such a negative place every day in the month of April. So that's really, really good. The other thing I started doing in the month of April was actually checking my credit cards more. So I had about a weekly check-in. I kind of fell off towards the end of the month, but I had about a weekly check-in just to see like, okay, how much is on my credit cards, putting money aside so that it's not like am I gonna be able to pay it off, you know? So that's what I did, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But overall, I feel like April was a really good month. You know, it wasn't my highest earning month by any means, and it wasn't my highest spending month either by any means, but it was a month where I felt a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident with my finances. And honestly, I think it has to do with my new budget. So let's jump into that. So my old budget was $500 a month. That's it. And I kind of did that as an experiment because I wanted to shock my spending habits. And I said to myself, what if I only had $500? So I loaded $500 onto a prepaid credit card, I started that in February, and in February it worked pretty well. I also had like $100 cash that I brought with me on my trip to Vancouver. So that helped, like just a lot of things helped, and it did work. Like, yes, I went over a little bit, but overall it sort of corralled my spending into this realm of about $500. And that wasn't including like therapy, rent, utilities, all of that, of course. But it was good. Then the second month, the month of March, was when things just got too crazy with that, because $500 also included my gas and groceries. So if 1 week I had to fill up gas, which costs $75 to $100 for my car, yeah, ouch. If in 1 week I had to do that and buy groceries, I had spent like $200, and I had spent, you know, more than a third or whatever percentage that equates to of my monthly budget. So that would freak me out. The opposite sometimes would happen, where I would go for a dinner out and then be like, oh, now I can't buy groceries. And you never really want that to happen. I think it's good for you to separate your budget. And you guys have been commenting for the longest time to try like the cash envelopes method, which is like a certain dollar amount for every category. So like this much for groceries, this much for eating out, this much for gas. And that is kind of where I am headed now. So that is what led me to my new budget, was just being like, okay, this lump sum thing doesn't work. I need it to be a little bit more organized. So this is how I've organized my new budget. I will read it out to you. $100 a week on groceries. Now that might not sound like a lot, but I always say this, I'm really good at being really cheap with my groceries, getting everything that I need, making sure it's healthy, and only buying what I know I'm gonna eat. So $100 a week for groceries. I also put $100 a week for gas, but I did not even go close to that. Like just not even. Probably more like $100 a month, because I don't use my car that often anymore. I was using it a lot in the winter time when we were going skiing, which was like a longer drive, but now I don't use it that often. $320 a month for therapy, which is 2 therapy sessions, and $300 on my prepaid card on my KoHo, which is for eating out, buying coffee, buying clothes, you know, whatever it may be. So that's my budget. I did that for the month of April, so we will talk about, you know, how did it go, but I felt way more confident with that. I felt like I knew where I could spend my money on and on what. And even if you add up like the total of that, it comes out to a very reasonable number per month. So I really like that. I really felt confident with it. And I want to talk about my prepaid card quickly, because I want to give it a shout out. It is literally the best system in the world. This is not sponsored or anything. I just love it. And that is KoHo. So if you are in Canada and you want to get a bit of a control on your spending, if you want to try a prepaid card, that means that you take money you already have, you load it onto a card that works like a Visa or a MasterCard. In my case, it's a Visa, and you spend money you already have. So when you go to the coffee shop and you buy your $7 latte, you're not spending future use money, and you're not gonna have to worry about it down the line. It's money you already worked for and earned and then put onto your prepaid card. You also earn cash back with KoHo, which is amazing. I just really love the app. Every time I tap my card, swipe my card, insert my card, whatever, it sends me a notification saying, you just spent $6 at cafe, whatever, you have this much money left. So I'm always being able to keep an eye on my budget very, like without a lot of effort, very effortlessly, because it's right there on my phone. I don't have to like go in and track. I honestly, like, I just love it. If you want to check out KoHo, I have a code for you guys. I will put it up on the screen. In the past, some people have had trouble with the code. This is an O and not a 0. And if you sign up for that, you will get $20 and I will get $20. So it's mutually beneficial, and I honestly really, really love it and super recommend it. Okay, so now is the part where we figure out, did I stick to my budget? And I mean, spoiler alert, I already know. But let's talk about it. So let's actually go backwards and talk first of all about my prepaid card. Now, I have never actually gone over my card. Like, you literally just can't. You can transfer yourself more money throughout the month. It works through e-transfer. But I find when I get to about $50 left, I'm like, whoa, and I really am careful. So I'm like, if I want a coffee, even if I still have 50 bucks left and maybe I'll have 3 days left on my thing, I still won't get it. Like 50 is where I start to be like, ooh, okay. Sometimes I let it go below 50, but then once it gets near 20, I'm like, eh. So I ended the month actually with $20 left on that card, which is so good. That means that, you know, I love it because every time I went and bought coffee, I went and got Subway. I'm really into Subway lately. Anytime I got takeout, anytime I did whatever, it was literally guilt-free because I knew it was within my budget and I could keep track of how much I was spending, and like it just felt so good. So the $300 I think is definitely the right number. I could bump it up a little based on some of my spending that we'll talk about, but I think $300 is a really good number. Now, next was $320 a month for therapy. That's 2 therapy sessions a month. Yes, I stuck to it. It's pretty easy to stick to it because it's like booking appointments. I'm thinking I might try and go down to 1 just because I feel like I'm in a pretty good place lately, and it is very expensive. Now, I'm like the first to advocate for therapy and it's totally worth the money. But sometimes I find I have my sessions every like 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes I find they're coming on a little quick. So I might reduce that. I do think it would help with my budget, but if I feel from a mental health perspective that I need more, then of course, like I wanna make room and prioritize that in my budget. $100 a week on gas. You guys already know I did not hit that, not even close. I actually, on my spreadsheet that I made where I wrote out all of my expenses and categorized them, I only spent 75 bucks on gas. So that was a super win for the month. My tank is almost empty now, so I'll just fill it back up and maybe it'll end up being that I only spend like 100 a month on gas. But times when I go to Ottawa, it's gonna be more because that's a bit of a long drive. So I don't know, but gas was pretty good this month. The last thing that I have budgeted for was groceries. So I budgeted $100 a week, which would be $400 in the month. And according to my spreadsheet, I only spent almost $300. I spent $291. So I did really, really good on groceries. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I just love being cheap with my groceries. I also had a coupon that really helped. I had like a $20 off coupon for ordering groceries online. So yeah, I think $100 a week is the perfect number. No issues there. Okay. So if I just left it at that, I would literally leave you guys thinking that I am perfect and flawless and nailed my budget. But that wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me to lie to you guys, and it also wouldn't be me to not F up. So here's the real tea. My total spending for the month was $2,200. And I, first of all, just compare this to December where I spent like $5,000. So I'm like, phew, at least I was better than December. But I had a couple, I think 3 really big purchases in here that definitely like skewed my budget. The first thing was a ski pass for $555, which is a one-time purchase and it's for next year. That was a big, and actually my biggest number purchase for the month was that ski pass. The next thing I spent outside of the budget on was $200 to Aerie. I bought a bunch of workout clothes. Now, yes, it wasn't the right time. You know, I thought that everything, like, I honestly forgot about the ski purchase. So I was like, oh, it's fine, like, treat yourself. Like, that is always the killer for me, is treat yourself. You've been working out a lot, you deserve new activewear, blah, blah, blah. It was on sale, I bought it. I don't regret buying it. I really like everything that I have. I regret buying it then because it fell in the same month as that ski purchase and it just like really kind of threw over my budget. So in hindsight, yeah, I shouldn't have done it. Am I gonna beat myself up about it? No, I'm just gonna keep it in mind and remember next month that I already treated myself this month and to stay away from buying any new activewear or anything like that. Another big purchase was I spent $260 on flights to Florida. No regrets there. Get me out of Montreal, please. Yeah, that is probably like the best money spent. I love Florida, and I get to stay for free when I'm there. So it's kind of just like a no-brainer, and the tickets were cheap and like just good. So that is a purchase I am proud of, happy to make space for. The next thing that I bought was a pair of Birkenstocks. Again, I just got all up on myself and was like, you need these and you need these now. Like, look outside. Do I need those now? No. Like, it's such a bad habit. I had to remind myself and not be hard on myself that like I'm so much better than before. Like, I had 2 treat yourself moments in the month where normally I would have like 1 or 2 per week, the old me. So I'm still doing better, but yeah, that was a big purchase. And the last thing was I spent $150 on a date night with my boyfriend. We were celebrating some exciting news that he got. So yeah, it was worth it. So I calculated my treat yourself category, and it added up to $761. So if you look on the screen, I'll show you guys like the spreadsheet that I made. That is $761 like over budget, and that's why it's in red. It's too high. It's too high. I want to get that down next month. I don't really have like a treat yourself budget. I should probably sit down and reflect on that. I mean, I like to be spontaneous, but it's also like harmful to my budget. So I don't know. Need to work on that. I don't have the answer for you right now. So that's that. You guys can see on the screen my totals per category. And like I said, my total spending this month was $2,200. So even though I wasn't perfect, I'm still proud of myself this month. I really like the new budget, and I think it just shows that sometimes working on your budget can be incremental. Like, I started with a lump thing. Now I'm getting more organized, and probably over time I'll get more and more organized. There's so much pressure to like make this crazy budget and be perfect right away. But take it from me, like incremental, what do you call that? Like moving forward, like getting better incrementally is better than being overwhelmed, never trying it and never getting better. So give it a shot. Whatever small step that looks like for you, give it a shot. I just went to get my phone because I want to end this video on an exciting and positive note. So if you watched my April goal setting video, then you know that one of my goals was to contribute $1,000 to my emergency fund this month. When I set that goal, I figured I was overreaching, and it reminded me of when I set the first goal, I think it was in May of 2 years ago now, to contribute $1,000 a month to my student loan. It felt so daunting to set such a high number, and it felt like I couldn't achieve it, but I did. I did back then, and every month I contributed $1,000, if not more, to my student loan, and that's what helped me pay down my debt so quickly. I just really made it a priority. I realized, and the reason why I set this goal again, but now for my emergency fund, is that I wasn't giving that same drive and that same attention to my savings that I was giving to my student loan repayment. I paid off my loan really quick, and if I put that same ambition towards my savings, I could build my savings so quickly. So that is what I am trying to do once again. And yes, here we are at the end of the month, and I'm so happy to say that I can do it. I can put $1,000 towards my emergency fund. It's been a while since I've contributed to my emergency fund. I have it kind of spread out over 2 places. I have part of it in a high interest savings account with Wealthsimple, and the rest of it I have in like a 1 month ahead, which is now kind of 2 months ahead, just because of my income variability. So I've always been putting it towards that, which helps me pay my rent, my hydro, etc. But today I want to put the money into my Wealthsimple because it's more untouchable. It's really like my true emergency fund, and the goal is to get my total emergency fund up to up to $10,000. I'm currently at 3 in my Wealthsimple and at about 2.5 in my 1 month ahead, but that money is going to go down when I have to pay my rent. So I just want this money to go, and every month I want to contribute $1,000 to the Wealthsimple so that it's really like locked away and it's my true emergency fund. So let's do that right now. I was hoping the money would rain down on the screen, but it didn't. Aw, I love it when it does that. Anyways, I'm happy that that is done. It just feels like the start of like a really good habit for me. And so I'm super excited. I just want to end on kind of a story time and talk about the importance of an emergency fund. So this month it was time for my dog Maggie's annual vet appointment where she gets like all of her shots and I have to buy the flea and tick medicine and blah, blah, blah. So when she was a puppy, every time I would take her to the vet, it would cost about $150 and I was going more frequently. That's the catch. I forgot about that and all I remembered was the $150, and so I assumed that this trip to the vet would cost about $150. No. When I got to the cash, I had opted to buy all of the medication at once, like the flea and tick meds, so that I wouldn't have to keep going back to the vet. And she was like, are you sure it's expensive? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. That ended up being $200 in and of itself, but I was like, I have to buy it anyways. But the shots and the checkup, you guys, $400. So I had a $600 vet bill. I don't have money in my checking account for that. And, you know, at first I was like, oh. But then I remembered that I have my emergency fund and that this is what my emergency fund is for. So next month when I have to pay that shit off my credit card, I'm gonna take $600 from my emergency fund and then I'll be able to pay it back. But it just goes to show you guys that just, you know, $10,000, that's a lot of money, whatever. But even having a $1,000 or $2,000 emergency fund can really come in handy, whether it's your dog, your car, you never know. So I just want to end on that story. I'm so grateful to have an emergency fund. And I hope that that story can like emphasize the importance for you. You guys, my camera died. It was like, enough talking, Zoe. But I can't be done. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you are happy and excited that the finance videos are back. I know I am. Let me know your feedback on this new sort of more organized, less all over the place style for the monthly money updates. And also let me know in the comments what your most expensive and your best purchase of the month were. I will put mine down there. And I'll see you guys all in my next video. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. Bye.